into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello and welcome back to Animation Weekly. You hear that music, guys? Does it give you hints? Bob, would you do the voice to introduce your character?
With the music? It just feels appropriate, doesn't it?
It does feel really appropriate. Thank you so much. I'm sure you get asked to do that like a
I'm
thousand
also now
times a day.
understanding why these look like bees, because Buzz, AFTERBUZZ,
Yeah,
is that right?
yeah.
Duh. Okay, fine. All right.
You're literally never, almost every guest, like, oh, they're like little bees.
I get it. Okay, cool. Fine. All
We're
right.
clever here. We like to keep people on their toes.
Right.
Try not to make it too hard. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. So, I want to take it all the way back to your childhood, to your youth.
Too far? Too far. Okay.
If you could explain through cries how you fell in love with animation. That's not...
And then I started doing voices. And that's the show, folks. Have a nice night.
So, what's the first cartoon you can remember being in love with?
Certainly the Looney Tunes.
Hell yeah.
I was a huge Looney Tunes fan, but I was a huge Speed Racer fan. I was a huge, I love the Fleischer Popeyes, the black and white Popeyes.
Wow.
I mean, my best friend was the television remote, you know?
Oh, mine too.
I know. And
So
it wasn't like I was like a latchkey kid. I just loved that. You know, my mom would go to your room. Cool. I'm there, baby. Got comic books. I can draw stuff and watch
There are
TV.
video games up there, of course, Mom.
Well, I had Pong. I'm
Classics.
I'm old. But I never minded go to your room.
No.
That was a happy place.
Yeah, my room was like the only space I controlled in my house. Like,
There you go.
what?
Exactly.
Yeah, everything in here. It's perfect.
Exactly.
So, from watching animation
Mm-hmm.
to doing voiceover, what are the steps in between there?
Well, I told my mom I wanted to be Porky Pig when I was 5 years old.
Whoa.
We lived in the Midwest, which, there aren't a lot of reasons for anybody
Wait, what
to
part
be.
of the Midwest?
Cincinnati.
Okay, after Chicago.
Well, originally St. Louis, then Cincinnati.
Love
so
it.
I love the
You
Midwest.
know the area. Mhm.
Exactly. My mom said, you can't be Porky Pig, you're Jewish. And I didn't know what that meant because during the holidays we had a Christmas tree next to the menorah. So we were more Ish than Jew.
Got it.
But I found out I could create a stutter. I'm stuttering right now. There's a code, there's a little formula to a stutter that I figured out. And I was a kid in school, was the obnoxious kid, and when a teacher would ask me a question, I would answer like Porky Pig. What's 1 + 1 in first grade?
That would be 2, folks.
So I was lucky that my dad took a job in LA when I was 14.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I'll just call Mel Blanc. I'll just call him up and tell him, look, I've seen you on TV. You're no spring chicken. and I know how to do this stutter. My voice hadn't changed yet. And I figured I was being very generous to ask if anybody's offered him a chance to retire. So I looked in the phone book, couldn't find his number. Do you know this story? Did you research this story?
I've not heard this story before.
I couldn't find his phone number, and my dad goes, LA's much bigger than Cincinnati. There's a different phone book for every, couple of blocks. So my dad traveled all over Southern California from like Pasadena to Malibu, and he collected the stack of white page phone books.
Dad.
Way to go, Dad. And I had the stack of white page phone books, and I'm just going to call every M or Mel Blanc in the book. And I thought, I'm going to record this conversation. So I'm in my parents' bedroom with a stack of phone books, and in the kitchen I had my little portable cassette recorder, and I would take the phone off the receiver, push record, run in my parents' room, look at the first one, call it, is this Mel Blanc, the cartoon guy? Wrong number, sorry. Hang up, run in the kitchen, hang up the phone, push stop, push record, put the phone. I did that through all the books.
Jesus.
And couldn't find him. And I thought, well, maybe it's under his wife's name, which was Estelle. So in the Pacific Palisades phone book, I found Estelle Blanc, which was his house. And I got him, and I recorded the conversation. It's on my website, which it's completely illegal to do this. Kids, don't do this at home. And during the course of the conversation, he mentioned the name of the studio he was working at that week. He didn't say the day or the time. He just mentioned the name. So when I finished my conversation with him, I called the studio, pretending to be his assistant.
Ouch.
I know.
You're a smart 14-year-old.
Or stalker. I'm not sure.
What?
When I said to him, I said to the receptionist, hi, I'm calling to confirm Mel Blanc's appointment for Thursday at 9. And the receptionist said, we have him on the books for Wednesday at 11. I went, I'm looking at the wrong day in the calendar. You're right. I'm sorry. And I said to my mom, I'm skipping school on Wednesday. and we're going to go watch Mel Blanc work. And she said, cool. So when we got to the studio, I told the receptionist that we were guests of Mel Blanc, and he said he was going to be here. And she goes, oh, yeah, he's in that studio over there. And I walked into his studio, his booth, and I said to the producer, hi, we're really good friends of the receptionist. And she said we could come and watch. And they said, fine, sit down. And I watched him work. And it was like, amazing watching, the guy that created Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck and Tweety doing his thing. And I realized, oh, he's still doing this. And if I'm going to ever be Porky Pig, well, first of all, I should probably be an adult and be trained and be in the business. So I called Hanna-Barbera. They referred me to a guy named Dawes Butler. And Dawes Butler was almost every voice Mel Blanc wasn't. It was Huckleberry Hound and Yogi Bear and Quick Draw McGraw and Snagglepuss even. And I studied with Dawes and tons of people. And I got my first cartoon a week out of high school, and my first agent about the same time. And then it took me 5 years of hit or miss auditioning before I was able to work full time as a voice actor. So long story short, that's kind of how I got into that biz.
This is incredible because I've been interviewing a lot of creatives and then on top of that watching a lot of documentaries or Inside the Actors Studio because I'm kind of obsessed with the lives of creative people just
I love
in general.
watching Inside the Actors Studio
God, that
because
show's so good.
Well, first of all, you find that everybody has a path. Everybody has a passion. And for most working actors, it's all about the craft and the work itself. It's not about being a star, making money. I mean, to this day, and knock glass, I mean, I do okay in my career, but it's never been for the money. And to hear Meryl Streep and Bradley Cooper and Dustin Hoffman talk about how it's the acting. And what we do is voice acting. It's not funny voices. It's not silly sounds. It's making them characters, rich, living, breathing characters. And that's what separates those who do funny sounds and those who work as a voice actor.
Definitely. I talked to a creature special effects, Craig Caton. He called up his hero, similar way, just on the phone and was like, I read your book and now I need to know more. And there are not more books where I live. What do I do?
Well, and when I called Mel Blanc, he was in the phone book. But what's cool about today is that almost everybody in the biz is reachable on social media, be it Facebook or Twitter or LinkedIn. If it's an executive or a business person, you'll find them on LinkedIn. But man, you can start chatting with Maurice LaMarche or Rob Paulson or Jess Harnell on Facebook, and they love it because we're in touch with the people that when I got in the business, they weren't fan conventions. I mean, Comic-Con was smaller. It was a comic book convention.
Yeah.
Now
not a movie release party.
Well, no kidding. And now you go there and for a weekend, you're the Beatles. And when it's all over, you're just the guy going to the Gap and McDonald's and nobody knows who the heck you are.
I love watching artists come back from Comic-Con because they're, oh man, like Jen Martell, oh my gosh. And then, then we're hanging out that later. It's just like, whatever. But I think that's kind of the beautiful thing about this aspect of Hollywood. And the thing that kind of draws me to like the animation, the cartoons, comic books, as long as you're staying in the comic book world, not into the movie sphere, is that it's a community.
It is such a community.
It's super fast to get to know each other.
And it's a generous community.
Oh my gosh.
The nicest people.
I've yet to meet somebody where I'm like, ew, why? Everybody has been supportive. There's always like free art shows to do. LA's a crazy expensive city. It costs money to get into like food festivals here, which I'm from the Midwest, as are you. Usually you just show up and then you buy your like $10 tickets. Here they're like, it's $35 at the gate. Does that include things inside? No. So it's challenging.
Well, that should include everything that you're getting.
Parking, food, all of it. No, not
kidding.
here.
Oh.
Strawberry Festival, ridiculous. This is a crazy rant.
You know what I want to be invited to? I want to be invited to a bacon festival.
Oh my gosh. Why has that not happened for you yet?
But if there's a bacon festival in the country and you want Porky Pig to be your special guest, because I am a Jew who loves bacon. I'm just saying, I do. You are what you eat.
Do you have guilt when you eat bacon?
Not in the least.
That's awesome.
As long as it's extra crisp. Love my bacon.
It's so tasty.
Yeah, it is.
Let's talk about the new show. You have a new show which you were explaining to me was on Boomerang, which I thought was a channel, but it's actually a
Boomerang
subscription service.
Is a channel, but there's also a paid subscription service,
which releasing all kinds of new content, right?
And it's fairly new. I think we debuted talking about it at Comic-Con in San Diego this summer.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it's got a lot of the classic shows, a lot of the reboots of the classic shows. So they're showing our show's called New Looney Tunes, but they're also doing Tom and Jerry, and they're doing a new Wacky Races, and they're doing a new Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz series. Yeah, and now they haven't aired a lot of our episodes. I think they're still airing portions of season 1, and we're recording season 3 right now. So it's got a long way to go before they start airing everything.
Okay, so there's some kind of shorts and clips out. Let's take a quick look at one with you and Daffy, which looks amazing.
Oh boy.
Oh.
Don't cry, little duck. If I let you out of there, will you promise to behave yourself? Thanks for springing me, chum. Now, Mr. Duck, I promise you behave yourself, but instead you're acting completely Daffy. Pardon me, but did you say I was Daffy? Yes.
Because that's my name, Roger.
Better wrap this ham to go.
Oh my gosh.
No, cut that out. I gotta get you to the resort for the grand opening. Ooh. Speaking of grand openings. Oh dear. I just gotta get that duck back. Please, Mr. Duck, could you please get back in the box? Oh, brother, this guy's a pig. Gotcha. Time to get you to that pond. Huh? Looks like someone's got butter feathers. Hey! Impressive, no? Just wait for the showstopper. Will we get this?
Classic.
So they've gone back to the 1930s wacky, zany Looney Tunes, where, I mean, I've been doing Porky for a while. I did a show called Duck Dodgers, which was based on the old 1950s short Duck Dodgers, which was a Chuck Jones classic cartoon.
Yeah.
But that was greedy Daffy. You know, that was angry, bitter, greedy Daffy. And this is classic Tex Avery, Bob Clampett. Porky's a little chubbier.
I was going to say.
I know Porky. I think he looks like Louis Anderson. That's me.
He does a little bit. I mean, we live in a larger world. I like a larger Porky.
Well,
I'm not upset about it.
So here's the thing. If you look at the original design of Porky Pig, which was called I Haven't Got a Hat by Friz Freleng, that's what Porky looked like. They went back to Porky's original design.
I like it. Did you change anything about the way you performed it?
So when we do the classic characters, we are a victim of the writing and the directing. So when we did Duck Dodgers, they wanted a classic Chuck Jones sort of feel. When we did the Looney Tunes show, which was a few years ago on Cartoon Network, it was kind of like a sitcom.
It was amazing. It was by far one of my favorite shows in modern history.
But it was interesting. You know, Porky was a caterer. Speedy Gonzales had a pizzeria, and Daffy and Bugs were roommates. Great. And so it was that director's fingerprint stamp on the characters. Our producer's name is Matt Craig, and he by far the best classic Looney Tunes producer. I've been doing Porky for like 27 years.
Yeah.
The best Looney Tunes producer I've worked with for that classic feel. He just knows these characters so well. For an actor, it's always about the writing. We're only as good as the writing. And that episode we just saw, that was the first time they tried to pair Daffy and Porky on the show. It was the first time they used Daffy on the show. And that was D. Bradley Baker, who played Daffy in Space Jam, and 20 years later did him again in this show. And we were emailed our scripts, and I am texting him, "Are you effing reading this? Is this the coolest thing in the world?" And he goes, "I cannot wait to get in that studio." And it's true. Those sessions are as fun as these cartoons look.
That's awesome. Are you guys I know it varies. Sometimes you guys are in the booth together. Sometimes you're doing solo. Did you guys get to play off of each other? There's a lot of like real fast back and forth here.
Yeah. I mean, you know, acting is reacting. So as often as they can, they'll get as many I keep banging my mic, making horribly obnoxious sounds. I'm sorry. They'll get as many cast members as they can in the studio.
Wow.
Every once in a while, I think maybe once or twice, I've been out of town. Dee's been out of town. Jeff Bergman, who's Bugs Bunny, he's been out of town. But most of the time, we're together.
Wow.
Feeding off each other.
How is that working? Is it like
crazy?
Yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like mass chaos.
It's a lot of it is mass chaos. I mean, you look through the glass at our director. Our voice director's name is Colette Sunderman. She's brilliant. I've done oodles and oodles of projects with her. We're in our little zone. We're doing voices back and forth, and peripherally, I'm looking through the glass, and you see the crew and the engineers laughing, and you're like, "Oh, I'm doing this right, good." But it's the writing. The writing is so good.
What do you think makes Porky Pig so endearing and long-lasting?
Oh, that poor pig. He's a lovable victim, you know. I mean, Daffy beats the heck out of him in this show, and they're pure situation comedies. We've done Christmas parodies. We've done they've brought back classic characters like they did one short back in the 40s and 50s, and Porky is just an innocent bystander. He is the second banana. He does have all the answers, but that darn fool duck, you know, always just beats the heck out of him. He's lovable. He doesn't wear pants. Still doesn't wear pants.
Which I love.
You know,
I love just the curly tail on the butt.
Just the curly tail on the butt, and that's about it. I am a method actor, so you know.
No pants in the booth. Just
use your imagination.
Is there a scene that you would want to do with Porky, or like a situation that you'd like to see him in that you haven't got to play yet?
Ooh, really good question. We've done so many in this particular series. I would love this particular crew to bring to do a Duck Dodgers short.
Ooh.
I mean, they've brought Marvin back.
Yeah.
He's done some stuff in this show, but we've not done that style. That'd be fun.
So like a more lighthearted approach to Duck Dodgers?
Well, Duck Dodgers was always like lighthearted. It was just, you know, Daffy Dodgers was, you know, the captain, and Cadet Porky, his sidekick, was
really the brains of the organization.
We're also doing some amazing Tweety and Sylvester shorts, and I'm doing Tweety in those.
What?
And again, it's classic Bob Clampett, Friz Freeling style shorts. And, you know, I can't tell you too much about it because it hasn't aired yet. I want to keep a lot of stuff secret.
Sure.
But they've got Granny, they've got Tweety, Sylvester. It's just so Foghorn Leghorn's in the show.
Mortimer's my favorite. Is there a chance we see him again?
Mortimer or Gossamer?
Gossamer, excuse me.
Gossamer. I think he is.
Oh my God, I hope
he was
so.
voiced by a little boy in Looney Tunes
And
shows.
it was so cute.
Yeah. It was when first time I heard that, I was like, oh, is that what he really sounds like? Okay.
I love a sweet, gentle giant Gossamer who just, you know, wants to make friends at school and be a part of the voice. Like, that character is so sweet.
With
Okay.
tennis shoes. He always had sneakers.
I know, and they're
Yeah.
giant sneakers, and so sweet. Let's take a look at the second clip you brought in, where Porky, please. He's like a TSA agent,
He's everything.
but also kind of looks like a cop.
He's everything at an airport.
Coffee, every position.
There you go.
Jumping Jehoshaphat. I'm sorry, Mr. Bunny, but you can't go through the baggage scanner. You need to go through the this one. But first you wanna. I tried to warn you. You need to remove your watch and your shirt. Don't forget your shoes. Just put everything in the bin. You're good to go. Go ahead and step in. Please raise your arms, Mr. Bunny. No, a little higher.
Come on! I don't have time for this!
Mr. Bunny, sorry, but I'm going to have to take you to another room to give you a more thorough pat-down. Let's just head to the room.
But I have a flight to catch. Let's just go into this room here. Jeez, this smells like a stable in here. That explains it. I know we just met, but I'd open up a few windows and, maybe hit the wall with a fresh coat of paint. I'll drop by later.
I'm gonna give you a real quick pat
Oh,
down,
no.
okay?
This just went from stable to critical.
Pockets are clear. I'm just gonna check you're not concealing anything on your personage, okay? Head's clear. Shoulders are clear. Knees are clear.
This was me at Burbank Airport the other day.
I'm so sorry.
What?
Shoulders, knees, and toes.
my
They're
God.
clear. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes. Then they're clear. Eyes and ears and mouth. we don't know. Head, shoulders, knees, and toes, they're clear.
Mr. Bunny, you're going the wrong way. It's going backwards.
Then switch it!
Alrighty, but the button is at the other end.
Hey, Caratoga, that's my flight.
Oh, hey, it's perfect.
That's
What do you know?
Jeff Bennett playing the horse, whose name is Horace.
Amazing.
And he's doing John Travolta from Welcome Back, Kotter.
I was trying. I'm like, what is this
I know,
voice?
I know. And it's just, I don't know if he made it up. This was, I believe, my first Porky episode for this show.
Wow.
And I think that was Jeff's first time playing this character. I don't know if he said, let me just try this, or if they wanted that, but they've brought him back for many episodes.
I
and
really like
it
the
is
horse.
so hysterical.
So do you guys get to like ad lib at all, or are you very much like by the book?
Both.
Okay.
So for Porky, I always try to find an ad lib just for comedy. Our writers oftentimes will write in the jokes. So if I'm saying,
Oh, what a delicious cup of I love tea.
you know, so it might be in the script, or as I stutter, I try to think of something, a funny ad lib. And they'll always ask me to do it as written, just because it goes through so many layers of approval before it gets to the recording session. And, you know, sometimes you push the envelope a little bit and they're like, not sure if that one's going to get past
Bring it back.
standards and practices. We've got that one in the can. Let's try something a little bit more, I don't know, less Adult Swim.
But it seems like you guys get a fair bit of adult humor in there, though.
Big time.
Which is
and
great.
stuff gets passed that surprises me, and stuff gets passed on that surprises me too.
Yeah, definitely. I really appreciate the return of like Jerk Bugs Bunny, because in the animated cartoon whereas we were talking, it's more of a sitcom.
Yeah.
You know, he would sometimes play like little jokes here on Daffy, but he's very like serious kind of adult bunny.
Yeah.
Whereas I always really appreciated Bugs Bunny, who's always going for the jab.
You know, Bugs Bunny's one of his catchphrases, ain't I a stinker? I mean, this Bugs Bunny is a total stinker.
Yes.
Yeah, and Daffy's wacky, zany, crazy Daffy.
That's amazing. So I'm curious, you've been doing the voice of Porky just for your own amusement.
For my
so
own amusement.
long.
I'd put a nickel in my piggy bank and say, that was amusing, I got paid for that.
But you were doing it as a kid in class or labs
I did.
and stuff, and then, you know, now you're here. Has the voice developed at all? Have you maybe discovered more about Porky as time goes on, or is it kind of the same character that you had as a kid inside of you?
It's a great question. The difference is he's put into situations today that he didn't do in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. There were no cell phones back then. There was no internet back then. We did an episode where Porky was a goober driver. I think they called it a goober. The cartoons back then were reflections of that day's pop culture. The cartoons today are a reflection of today's pop culture and, you know, current events and songs. We did a rap episode.
Oh my
We did an
gosh.
operetta. I mean, we're doing stuff that reflect today. That's the hard part, is finding ways to say things that these characters never uttered, never said.
Yeah.
So, but it's still Porky. You know, there will be a line where I'll be like, that doesn't feel very Porky-ish. Can I try it a different way? Never do they say, no, you can't.
I mean, you learned from the original.
Well, yeah, and always it's the producer director's final say. But I'll be like, for instance, Porky can't stutter on vowels, only consonants.
Oh.
So in the script, they'll try to type out a stutter on a vowel. I'm like, Porky can't stutter on O. And why not? Well, you try it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
But like, you know, B. So, and we kind of feed each other. When I first did this series, bless their hearts, they would write out every stutter. And I was like, and I said to Matt, our producer writer, I can't find the story. If you type out all those letters with dashes, I can't find what I'm supposed to be saying. Sure. So trust that I know where to stutter, and I don't plan it. I just read the script, and it comes out
Whichever way I will be, whichever way I will be, I just do it.
I've heard that from a lot of actors who have to stutter during a performance, that it's just too much to try to it sounds very forced.
Yeah.
If it's pre-planned. You said you guys were doing an operatic. Those are some of like the heavy hitters of classic Looney Tunes, like the ones
What's
that
opera
that everybody knows.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there hesitation in going into those? Like,
Yeah. Because I'm not the world's greatest singer.
wait, you're actually singing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what?
Oh, yeah. And I can't tell you any more about it because I don't think it comes up until season 2. But
Could you tell me if everyone is singing?
I think throughout the entire series, everybody has
Oh,
a
wow.
musical or several musical numbers. We've had some cool guest stars. I'm just saying.
I'm
Can't
really
say who,
excited
but
about it.
It's really cool.
And the animation looks beautiful for it, of course. We talked about the difference in Porky. The characters looked almost less human, which just seems like they were kind of moving in a more like human pronounced stance.
For that other Looney Tunes series, definitely. But, I mean, they changed the design of Porky a little bit. I've had fans pop me emails or ask questions. What do you think of the new design? If you look at a Chuck Jones Porky Pig compared to a Bob Clampett Porky Pig or a Friz Freleng Porky Pig or a Chuck Jones Porky Pig from the 1940s and then he always evolved. All the characters evolved. This is this producers or these producers version of the characters, but boy, the integrity is so there for all these characters.
I really like the structure. You obviously do more than just voice Porky Pig. You sent us a trailer for your one-man show. I want to check it out now.
Welcome to Bob Bergen, so here's the deal. Imagine an evening full of fun and laughter with one of the most successful voices in show business. From Porky Pig and Tweety to some of the biggest animated films of all time, Bob Bergen takes you behind the scenes through his incredible and unlikely journey to success in Hollywood.
When I was 5 years old, I told my parents when I grow up I want to be Porky Pig.
Gosh, Sylvester, isn't this able to be a lovely airplane? I've always wanted to fly on a big HD Boeing 747.
My mom said, honey, you can't be Porky Pig, you're Jewish. But it wasn't so much that I wanted to be Porky Pig, it's that I, for lack of a better word, could do Porky Pig. And this is very important and very big, I cracked the code of Porky's stutter. So I immersed myself in Porky Pig to the point where it was more important to me than my schoolwork. Somehow I need to get to Los Angeles, call Warner Brothers, and I'm on my way to being Porky Pig. Being a kid growing up in Cincinnati, like that's gonna happen, right?
You could have just shown
To me, it
this.
sounded like the Warner Brothers characters came from the same person. Voice characterizations, Mel Blanc. I'm 14, and I'm ready to be Porky Pig.
So
How's
you're
the
going to
best
hear a
way
bit of my conversation with Mel Blanc.
I'm just going to call Mel Blanc. Very simple. I'm going to call Mel Blanc and say I'm here. And
Was it hard to get the characters? Did Warner Brothers have any
And I thought it
issues
was
with you
very
like bringing
generous
in the
of me to give
characters
me
or having the props on stage or doing the
retire.
voices?
I never asked them.
Ballsy.
I'll tell you a funny story about that.
I want to hear it.
Mr. Mel Blanc, my name is Bobby, and I just moved here from Cincinnati, and I would like to do voices for cartoons, and I think you're just one. How'd you get my number?
So that was part of my real conversation.
Or psychotic stalker, I'm not sure which.
Filled with
Amazing.
hilarious anecdotes, audience participation, and reenactments, Bob Bergen, So Here's the Deal, gives you a never-before-seen look at how a seemingly impossible
Oh,
dream
look at that
can
face.
come true.
You know, it's not easy being the new Almond M&M.
Hold it. That's plain. We're looking for almond.
Can I get the... Ooh, Dwayne, look, here comes that big old putty cat again.
Go capture that earth creature canine.
Oh, Father.
Oh my God, I'm ass to ass with Rocky the Flying Squirrel. Hi, Bob, it's Casey Kasem, and I got your note.
The sold-out audiences and critics agree. Bob Bergen, So Here's the Deal is not only hilarious, it's a magical, inspirational evening of entertainment you won't soon forget. For booking information, call Synergy Management at 818-703-6707.
This is amazing.
That's all, folks.
And if you got Anna yourself doing
That was
the end credits.
that was actually from a documentary that was made a few years ago, and I said, "Can I borrow that for the end of this trailer?" They're like, "Sure." So, okay, that was the last production I did of the show, which was many, many years ago. I think it was like maybe 8, 9, 10 years ago. When I first did it, about 20 years ago. I mean, it's a love story, basically,
Yeah.
between me and wanting to do voices for cartoons. So I didn't ask permission from Warner Brothers. I mean, there's really no, I don't show any clips, you know, so I don't use any copywritten material, but I got props on stage that are pictures of the characters, whatever. And the way the original show went, the lights would come up and I'm sitting on a director's chair. And the first performance, the lights came up and in the front row was, at the time, President, Vice President, Warner Brothers Animation, sort of sitting there like this.
Oh my God.
And I'm like,
Oh my. Well, here it goes.
and they loved it. They were totally fine.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were very, very, because it really is just it's a love story of, you know, my relationship with the pig.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about the first time you professionally did Porky?
Yeah, I had a billion callbacks. In fact, in that clip where I did.
Gosh, Sylvester, isn't this a lovely airplane?
That was for my original audition. I just happen to remember it. And I had my last callback was for a guy named Chuck Jones. You know who Chuck Jones was? Yeah. And I never get nervous when I'm at an audition, but Chuck Jones created these characters with the other, you know, termite terrorist directors. But I went to shake his hand and I'm like this. And he said, "Why are you so nervous?" I said, "I'm about to do Porky Pig for Chuck Jones. It's like doing Jesus for God." And he laughed, and it made me, you know, laugh, and I got, you know, over the nerves. And I had just bought my first condo. Weeks went by after that audition. I hadn't heard anything. I just bought my first condo. I was at a job. My mom was house sitting for me because I had a couch being delivered. And my agent called to tell me that I booked my first Porky Pig job, which was for Tiny Toon Adventures.
Wow.
And what's really cool is that my mom got to take that phone call. Because, you know, she'd been hearing I wanted to be Porky Pig since I was a kid.
Yeah.
So, you know, Mom got to take the call. We went out for dinner to celebrate. I ordered pork chops. What the heck? And so, yeah, Tiny Toon Adventures was my first, it was my first Looney Tunes job, and it was the first venture back into the Looney Tunes franchise for years for that studio.
Yeah. That's incredible. So you spent a lot of time, your early career, kind of developing specific voices for characters that already exist. What was it like when you started to create original voices?
That's really my day-to-day. You know, the classic characters is kind of what I'm known for, but my day-to-day is auditioning and creating something brand new, which is fun because you don't have anything to, there's no restriction. You know, here's the picture, here's the description, here's the dialogue, go create something fresh and new.
Wow.
I teach animation voiceover, and what I teach my students is it's all about originality. They don't need Yogi Bear. They don't need Fred Flintstone unless they're actually casting a new version of that. 99% of the time, they're going to want something fresh and new, which, you know, be it a game or a feature, series, that's my day-to-day.
So, okay, I have a two-part question. I want to ask this. Well, first of all, I'm really fascinated by creatives who move into teaching and passing on their craft. What was the thing that made you want to go into teaching?
Never wanted to. I didn't. I was doing a play, and in my bio it said I did voices for cartoons, and there was a knock on my dressing room door, and this guy said, "I'm opening up a school.
Wow.
Would you like to teach cartoon voiceover?" And I said, "Not really, but thank you for asking." And then a few months later, I got a call from SAG Conservatory, and they said, "You were recommended to teach a cartoon class." I said, "By who?" And they said, "We don't know, but would you like to do it?"
Wow.
I said, "Well, how much do you charge the students?" And they said, "It's $10 a year. They get classes all year long." SAG Conservatory is really cool.
Wow.
And I said, "What do you pay the teachers?" And they said, "Nothing. It's a volunteer thing." I said, "I'll do it because if I suck, I won't have Jewish guilt for taking money."
Okay.
Did that for a year. It was like maybe 4 or 5 times during the year. I was like, I'm pretty good at this. So then I called that school from the play, the guy at the play, I met at the play, and I said, if you still want me, I'm there. So I taught for him for about a year, and then I went on my own, and I love it. It's just very, very exciting. First of all, finding talent is euphoric. Finding someone who's really, really good at what they, you know that. You know, as a fan, when you see something, whether it's a physical artist or a voice artist, a creator, that just passion and talent, I find, is extremely euphoric. And when I work with a past, I'm working with J.P. Karliak, who's playing Wile E. Coyote on the show.
Oh, wow.
Former student from 10, 12 years ago. That's really cool.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. And he's brilliant.
So I always kind of picture voice acting as this thing, like either you have it or you don't. Is that something you subscribe to? Can it be taught?
I think you're born an actor. I think you're born a singer. I think you're born a sculptor. But what technique and classes will do is it will give you the skills, the technique, to recreate your talent at will. But nobody can teach you timing. Nobody can teach you how to be an actor. You're born that way. But I studied with people. I didn't realize what I wanted to be was an actor. I wanted to do voices for cartoons.
Right.
But I'll get called by people all the time for my class. I want to do voices for cartoons, but I don't want to act. And I'm like, that's like saying I want to do ballet, but I don't want to dance. I mean, it's acting, no matter how you slice it. So, long-winded answer to your question, I don't think everybody can do this, but you never know until you try.
True.
I mean, I've had people come to my class where they're sketch comics or stand-up comics, and they want to help. They need help creating characters and remembering characters and bringing originality to the character. So that's why they take this class. And sometimes people take the class and realize character work and voiceover is not for me, but I want to do live announcing.
Yeah.
I have the person that produces my out-of-town classes took my animation class. And I said to her one day, her name is Marian Macero, I said to her, what is it you really want to do? And she said, live announcing. I went, that's interesting. So I helped her, give her some guidelines, and she just did the Creative Arts Emmy. She's doing the SAG Awards in January, I believe.
Holy
so
cow.
Bottom line is, you may take an animation class and realize animation's not my thing, and you find what your thing is.
That's the best thing about learning, is there's always something you can take from it, even if it's not the core essence of the class.
Well, I always tell, people will go and complain about a class. That class sucked. And if you get down to the nitty gritty, okay, all of it sucked? No. Well, how much of it didn't suck? Okay, 95% sucked. I said 5% was great? Yeah. Okay, so you take that 5% and you bank it with the 20% of this class and the 40% from this class, and eventually you have a technique that you bring as an actor to your sessions that is it's a homogenized conglomeration of everything you ever experienced from a teacher in a class. Some of it sucked, some of it was great, but it's who you are today.
Truly.
It's the whole journey.
So for people maybe at home, maybe out in our homeland of the Midwest, who want to get into voice acting and stuff, what's something they can be doing now to just improve their chances?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, don't go into it for the money. Don't go into it to, be rich and famous. Go into it because you love it. Find whatever it is in life that you love, and if you're willing to do it for free, that's the right job for you. People today have something I didn't have when I was growing up. That's the internet.
I love the internet.
It's the best. So if you want a college course on voice acting and voiceover, VO Buzz Weekly, which is an amazing podcast. My friend Chuck Duran hosts it. It's 200 plus episodes where Chuck interviews actors and agents and casting directors, etc., on all aspects of voiceover. Rob Paulson has a podcast called Talkin' Tunes. If you go to Facebook, you'll find billions of forums. D. Bradley Baker has a webpage called iwannabeavoiceactor.com.
D, I had no idea.
D's Daffy Duck.
I had no idea I had a whole page for that's really cool.
Yeah. So these don't cost a dime. I'm talking about things that are absolutely free. The only thing they cost would be time. Sitting there and watching and learning. Animation's done in Los Angeles. Voiceover. If you want to do voices for cartoons, you got to live here. You can do voiceover anywhere in the country. But the bottom line is, information is at your fingertips. Most important thing, study acting. Become a good actor. Study acting. Improv, I think, is the greatest training any actor can do. I don't care if your thing is Shakespeare or voiceover. Improv is the best training on the planet. get a really good foundation, and then study voiceover. And when you're ready, and you know when you're ready, you make a demo. And you have to be in SAG-AFTRA to do cartoons. And you have to have an agent, and it has to be a good agent because they're the ones that get the auditions. If everything I'm saying sounds, oh my God, that's impossible, I'll never, oh my God, there's no way, then find something easier. If all of these obstacles and challenges make you go, I want to do that even more, you're right for this business. I didn't want to get in the business. I wanted to play one specific character. In fact, when I had that last callback for Porky, am I talking too much?
No, never.
When I had that last callback for Porky, before my callback, I said to my agent at the time, if I don't book this, I think I'm going to quit voiceover. And I was doing like 4 or 5 shows at the time. And she goes, no, you can't do that. Why? I said, well, this is the only reason I got into the business in the first place.
What were you going to do if you didn't do this?
I don't know. I think actually psychology.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I was a psychology or maybe school teaching or something. But probably, I like working with people. So probably psychology, which I never went to college. Would have made my mom thrilled. The Jewish doctor. Who does funny voices for his patients. But it worked out okay.
That's incredible. So I guess if you have time for maybe 1 or 2 more questions, I want to ask you about the difference between television and movies, if there is any for you personally. Mm-hmm. I know television can go on and maybe it's episodic.
Yeah.
Is there a difference in how you approach it?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, what is it?
Yeah. Well, first of all, when you do a series, an episodic, you do the whole script, that episode from beginning to end. When you do an animated feature, you don't. It's like a live action movie. You don't necessarily record it in order. So
wait, what?
I know, right?
Why would I feel like you have all of the control that you would need to do as opposed to like
you record when they have that scene ready for you to record, just like a
sense.
major motion picture, like an on-camera job.
Wow.
So you might get there on day 1. First of all, you only see the parts of the script that your character is in. You don't get the entire script to learn the story.
Oh no.
Unless you're Tom Hanks and you're doing Buzz Lightyear or Woody or whatever he does. So I'll get to the studio. First of all, I'm probably working by myself. My scene partner's not there. So the director feeds you the lines. I'll give you an example. Do you ever see The Emperor's New Groove?
Hell yeah.
Okay, you know Bucky the Squirrel?
Yeah.
I'm Bucky the Squirrel.
That's amazing.
Okay, so I knew I was going to be playing a squirrel. I wasn't told anything about the character. I get to the studio. The director, Mark Dindal, says to me, he's a squirrel. I said, I got that. Patrick Warburton plays a character named Kronk.
Yeah.
And Kronk speaks squirrel. So Kronk will say, squeak, squeak, and squeak, squeak, and you'll speak squirrel, and he'll translate. Now, I never met Patrick Warburton.
So
never worked with the man. I think I met him at the Annie Awards a few years ago. And so I said, well, do you want me to say squeak, squeak, and squeak? No. You just create a language. Like, on the spot, create a language.
Uh-huh.
I said, well, can I think about it for a little bit? And he said, sure. So this is at Disney, and I go outside the soundstage, and there's a park bench, and I'm sitting there going, squeak, squeak, and squeak, squeak, and squeaks. And I swear to you, a little squirrel ran down a tree, came up to me on its hind legs, looked at me, and he went, and I went, thank you.
Oh my gosh!
And I went into the booth, and I said, "So you be the director. Say squeak, squeak, and squeak, squeak.
Say squeak, squeak, and squeak.
No, you say that. Say squeak, squeak, and squeak, squeak.
Squeak, squeak, and squeak, squeak.
And Mark went, that'll work. And
wow.
So that's how I created the character. We did the film. We did a sequel, straight to video. We did 3 years of a series.
Loved that series.
And this wonderful little squirrel in a tree. I own my commission or something. I own something.
I just like that it also happened at the Disney studio, which is like maybe the second magical place on earth after the park.
It totally is, and I'm not sure if that wasn't an animatronic squirrel. I don't know for a fact.
Walt was just looking out for you from beyond the grave.
Right?
He's like, here you go, man.
And every time I go there to work, because I go there a lot, and I see Ace, the first squirrel I see, I'm like, hi, buddy. And I know it's probably his great grandson, but
the lineage is there, damn it.
I don't care.
That's so cool. So I guess I also want to ask you maybe about, I've talked to other animation folks who have a problem with like, not professional act, but like well-known actors who maybe have never done voice acting before. Does this at all bother you, or do you think, if the voice fits the character, then, you know, so be it.
Is your question, and does it rub me the wrong way that celebrities do cartoons?
I guess, yeah.
It doesn't.
Okay.
Because I would say 90% of the time they really do a great job of casting. If it's cast by Pixar, you know it's going to be brilliant.
That's true.
They're great.
Just saw scenes from Coco the other day, and I was like, I
Can't
gotta
wait to
get
see
in the
Coco.
theater.
I cannot wait to see. I think I'm seeing it in a week or
So
two.
good.
Well, when they were doing Toy Story, John Lasseter took a clip of Tom Hanks, an audio clip from Turner and Hooch, and animated Woody with the soundtrack from Turner and Hooch. And it was the scene where Hooch was locked in the car, and he's eating up the front seat of the car.
Yeah.
And Tom Hanks goes, "Don't eat the car, not the car!"
Yes.
And he animated Woody with his rubbery arms, and that's the character. So he was matching the personality of the actor with the animated character's personality.
it.
So, look, I'm not well known, but I'm not going to play the lead. But I'm a utility player. If you look at the end credits of an animated feature and you see additional voices, those are us unknown utility players that can look at a scene and I can do 20 characters in that scene.
Jesus.
And we have fun, and we get paid really well and get our residuals, and we go to Comic-Con and shake hands and kiss babies. No, I would love to play the lead in a series, or rather in a feature film, but I'm so happy doing what I do. I'm so fortunate to do what I do.
I would love to see, like, some great writer come and do, like, an animated film that is designed for voice actors. Because I think that while there's certainly validity to that, like, I mean, I love How to Train Your Dragon. Most of those guys are, you know, well-known actors and
Right.
stuff. But I just think that there's something so much more for somebody who can do, like, 20 different voices and who knows how to bring in just that right amount of inflection to really make a scene pop.
Well, but you know, it's not new that they use celebrities, because the first feature films were Snow White and Pinocchio and Dumbo, and Walt Disney would hire character actors from radio. Now, they didn't even get screen credit back then, but he would hire these, as in that at that time, radio was as popular as TV is today. So, you know, Ed Wynn doing the Mad Hatter in Alice in Wonderland, that was a character actor celebrity. But June Foray and Dawes Butler and Mel Blanc and Don Messick, you know, these were the character actors that were trained to do these animated projects. And towards the end of June's life, she was she passed away this year, and was a really good friend. She was offended that they didn't hire voice actors to do a lot of the characters. Personally, I get it. You've got to take off your actor hat and put on your studio executive hat and go, what's going to bring in box office?
Sure.
And you can't fight what's out of your control. But like I said, there's plenty of work for everybody. You can spend time being bitter about what you can't do, but if you can't control it, find something you can do and invest your time and energy in that.
That's real good advice. I'm actually going to ask you one more question.
Okay, fine.
So you're a teacher. You're
Yes, ma'am.
obviously a huge You asked me before if I knew stuff about animation, and now I want to
I
retract
know.
and be like, I know nothing about animation. Are there any like great books or documentaries that you think people should see if they want to learn more just about the general history of
Oh,
animation?
wow. Good question. I Know That Voice, which we talked
Great.
about,
Super great.
that John DiMaggio did. It's brilliant. I went to the premiere. I'm sitting with my colleagues, and I'm learning, hearing them talk about their process. It was just the coolest to watch D. Bradley Baker and Richard Horvitz and John DiMaggio, Steve Bloom talking about, you know, their love for the characters. Man of a Thousand Voices, I think, was a documentary on Mel Blanc that I believe I commentated. That was really good. Of Mice and Magic, I believe that's Leonard Maltin's book. That's brilliant on the history of animation. Just go and Google and surf. You can watch YouTube videos of Seth MacFarlane recording Family Guy. I mean, it's just a whole different world we live in. So, boy, if you're bored one weekend or for about a month, you'll never leave your office if you just Google search cartoon voices, and there's just a plethora of stuff.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for being here with us today. I've learned a lot.
You're very good at what you do.
Oh, thank you,
Seriously,
sir.
you're really, I mean, I do a million interviews. You are just so good and so engaging, and so you did your homework, so you're fun.
Thank you, Bob. I really appreciate
I think this should go on
that.
NBC.
NBC, are you listening?
Just
Hire
saying.
me.
And I want to voice the peacock.
Done. We did
And
it.
I'd make the peacock sort of like this because he's got like rainbow-colored things and feathers and stuff. Okay, action with Johnny. That's my peacock.
One of my favorite interviews ever. This is so great. Guys, we will be back next week, possibly new time. Not sure yet, so find us on Twitter so you'll know about those things. But thank you, Bob, for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you later.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.